How do people in the U.S. who want to be Orthodox approach snacking and limiting foods to 3 or 2 meals a day? How do they approach limiting foods? In a variety of ways. There are those who, in the monasteries and people who are imitating the monastics, who, they're not few, but they're not great either. They're probably fewer than the majority, but they're trying to imitate the ascetic typicon, and so they might eat like the typicon calls for, which is 1 meal a day after the 9th hour, which means after 3 o'clock. There might be people like that in the world who do that. They limit their meals to 1 a day, or maybe they'll have tea and coffee and some snack in the morning and then just 1 meal a day. There's others who can't do that. They have 2 meals a day. They try to keep it within 11 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then there's others who can't do that either. It's really not, we do not, impose ascetic struggles onto people. People have to want to struggle ascetically, and they get blessings from their spiritual father as they grow and grow and grow. And, when people make spiritual advances, and it's clear to the spiritual father that these people are consistent, they've established themselves in a serious spiritual program, and they have acquired virtues, in other words, habits, and they can then lift a greater cross, then they're given that blessing to lift a greater cross of more fasting and more ascetic struggle. So you do it in consultation with your spiritual father. You do it little by little, incrementally, and you do it imitating the saints. And so if you're not reading the lives of the saints, you're not going to a spiritual father for guidance, it's going to be hard for you to establish a greater ascetic struggle with regard to fasting. You need to have that. It's in the context of the church always, and with guidance by a spiritual father or a spiritual guide on some level, whether it be just you have a confessor, you don't have a spiritual father, but you're going to confession, you're getting guidance, or you even go to a monastery, talk to the abbot or the abbess or whatever it might be. But we don't do things willy-nilly, willfully. But at the same time, if you don't want it, then it won't be given to you either. So you've got to want it, but with and in obedience. And then, of course, I don't think most people will have the inspiration if they're not reading the lives of the saints voraciously. That's where I've gotten all my inspiration insofar as I have it. It's from the saints. And try to just try to incrementally cut it down. Eat healthy. That's a very important thing. I think it's not ascetic or impressive for people to eat junk food. That should be obvious, right? So we should eat good food. The better the food is, the less we have to eat of it, right? If you eat eggs, for instance, it's filled with nutrients, so you don't need to eat as much food. But if you eat a bunch of secondary, tertiary foods that don't give you as much nutrients, then you got to eat more food more often to get the same kind of energy and proteins and all the rest. So it's important to eat in a healthy and smart way if you want to do better fasting.